This is video submission 1 for microbiology class. This video will be on microbial links to Alzheimer's disease. First off, what are microbes? Microbes are little tiny organisms that are so small that they can't be seen by the naked eye. Most of the time, these microbes have to be seen under a microscope in a lab. They can be found in water, soil, and the air. It's not often realized that these microbes can cause chronic as well as acute diseases. Some examples of microbes can be bacteria, viruses, archaea, and fungi. These microbes can stay latent in the body. Latent means that they're not active. But however, they can become reactivated. Reactivation can be caused from stress or even immunosuppression. These microbes are mostly found in the presence of the elderly. Because microbes can be latent for many years, which means they're not reactivated until later on in life, that's why microbes are mostly found in the elderly. There are some specific microbes in the elderly brain. Some of these are herpes simplex virus type 1. The next one will be human herpes virus type 6, which can also be abbreviated HHV6. Along with this one, we also have human herpes virus 7. These microbes have been found in connection with Alzheimer's, along with spirochetes. This can also be found in the brain of the elderly. A lot of bacteria and viruses are ingested through the nose and go into the brain, but there's a lot of different ways that these herpesviruses can be extracted. Alzheimer's is a type of dementia that causes problems with things such as your memory, thinking, and behavior, even like changes in the personality. So this person will have a hard time remembering their life or conversations from, 5 to 10 minutes ago, or even months and days ago, or years ago. There's a hypothesis that Alzheimer's is caused by infectious pathogens. This disease is progressive and there's no current cure. So this disease attacks the brain because Alzheimer's plays a role on the cells of the brain. It causes them to lose their ability to do their job. So they're attacking these cells and it causes the cells to eventually die off, causing irreversible changes in the brain. Plaques and tangles are prime suspects in damaging and killing cells. So when the cells lose their ability to do their job and they die off, plaques and tangles can be caused. And I will discuss these later in different slides. Okay, so some evidence linked to Alzheimer's disease. The first one would have to be herpes virus. Herpes virus, one specific case would be the herpes simplex virus type 1. This virus is responsible for cold sores. A lot of people think that herpes is automatically the sexually transmitted disease, and they don't think of cold sores. It is usually transmitted from oral to oral contact, like kissing, through saliva, and this is like contracted through contact with the virus in the sores, saliva, and the surface on or around the mouth, because this cold sores usually occur around the mouth or on the lip. This can also lead to genital herpes, the most common herpes that comes to mind when people think of it, if there's oral genital contact while this virus is flared. HSV1 causes neural damage caused by virus-induced inflammation. So this inflammation can go up to the brain and cause neural damage. This damage can lead to synaptic dysfunction, neural loss, and this can ultimately lead to Alzheimer's. There's the connection between the two. The other herpesvirus, which is human herpesvirus 6 and 7, are associated with a viral infection called rosella. This is a rash that can usually be found in younger children. Some symptoms of this would be children experiencing high fever, decrease in appetite, a runny nose, and a rash that spreads all over the body. So it's kind of like cold symptoms or flu symptoms, but just along with a rash. It's still uncertain how this virus is transmitted. There has been speculation that the virus is spread to children from family members or caregivers through saliva. So if you're kissing a baby or you're drinking after a baby or something like that, one routine of transmission could also be through the nose, them smelling things in certain areas or something like that. Human herpes virus 7 is responsible for the reoccurrence of human herpesvirus 6. So if you've already had it, the rash before, and it comes back again, you have obtained the type 7 of the virus. All of these herpesviruses stay in the human for the rest of their life. So if you get this virus, it's inside of you for your entire life. This virus is a risk factor that causes the formation of plaques and tangles that I previously talked about that progress on to become Alzheimer's disease. Okay, now we're on plaques, as I mentioned before. Plaques are deposits of protein fragments called beta amyloid. These are found in the brain. This protein fragment is normally produced by the brain and thought to be responsible for the plaques that lead to Alzheimer's disease. This is what they kind of look like. Beta amyloid plaques are overproduced in patients who suffer from Alzheimer's. So these plaques are already made in the brain, but they're overproduced by those who have Alzheimer's. The neurons in the brain use beta amyloid to kill or trap microbes. They do this to protect the brain, but this eventually causes buildup in the Alzheimer patient's brain. So these are produced in the brain and they're used to trap these microbes that are causing problems like herpes, but then they are overproduced so much in the brain of Alzheimer patients that it causes buildup. Plaques go on to tangles. So plaques trigger tangles, which causes inflammation and that can lead to the Alzheimer's disease. Tangles are twisted fibers of protein called tau that build up inside the cell. Tau proteins are meant to stabilize microtubules. When they fail to stabilize the microtubules, pathologies of the nervous system can develop, such as Alzheimer's disease. So we have plaques and we have tangles. The plaques trigger the tangles, which are proteins made of tau that build up inside the cell. These tau proteins are meant to stabilize these microtubules, but when they fail to do that, it can develop Alzheimer's disease. Plaques and tangles block the communication among the nerve cells. This disrupts the process that cells need in order to survive. Another example of some evidence would be spirochetes. Um, Syphilis and Lyme disease are caused by spirochetes. And those are some of the main two that are mostly talked about. Spirochetes are long and slender and coiled sort of like an old phone cord. Spirochetes can be both aerobic and anaerobic. Since spirochetes are slow to divide, this can take decades to grow biofilm. This timeline is consistent with Alzheimer's being in patients of old age. So since they take such a long time to divide and create a biofilm, this is only present in patients with old age. Spirochetes can cause syphilitic dementia. In syphilis cases, neuroinvasive effects of spirochetes might appear as long as 50 years after the initial infection. So as stated before, microbes can be latent for years before they're ever reactivated. This has caused a lot of speculation to whether microbes are connected to Alzheimer's because it only occurs during old age. There has been continuous research conducted on this topic. Some believe that Alzheimer's can be caused by a combination of things, not just one microbe like one virus or one bacteria. However, if Alzheimer's turns out to be directly linked to microbes, it could eventually be cured with a vaccination in the future.